The 2016 D-Mint marked Jefferson nickel is one of the most astonishing modern coins ever to emerge from the United States Mint, and its story is a blend of modern minting technology, incredible rarity, unexpected survival, and extraordinary value for most people. A nickel from 2016 might seem far too new to have any numismatic significance, but in the rare coin world, age is not the only factor that creates value. Rarity, perfection, provenance, and collector demand can transform an ordinary 5-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, and that is exactly what has happened with the most remarkable example of the 2016 D. Jefferson nickel, which holds a current market value of $10 million. To understand why this coin has become legendary, we first need to revisit the history of the Jefferson nickel series. The Jefferson nickel began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, which had been produced for a quarter of a century. The winning design for the new coin was created by Felix Schlag, whose artwork featured a left-facing portrait of the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse, and his iconic home Monticello on the reverse. The design went through a number of small modifications over the decades, but its core elements remained the same. In 2004 and 2005, the nickel temporarily adopted special westward journey reverse designs to commemorate the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition before returning to the updated Monticello reverse in 2006 with a more modern portrait of Jefferson on the obverse. By 2016, the Jefferson nickel was a familiar sight in pockets and cash registers across America. The Denver Mint, one of the primary coin-producing facilities of the United States Mint, was striking millions upon millions of nickels each year. The D Mint mark located on the obverse just below the year indicated that the coin came from the Denver facility. In the case of the 2016 D nickel, most of the coins were struck for regular, everyday circulation. These coins passed quickly from banks to businesses to households to vending machines, and most acquired small scratches and marks almost immediately. But somewhere in the massive output of that year, a tiny fraction of coins emerged as absolutely flawless examples with characteristics so extraordinary that they would one day stun the numismatic world. One of the key factors that can make any Jefferson nickel extremely valuable is the quality of the strike, particularly on the reverse, where Monticello is depicted. A perfect coin will have sharp, well-defined features, including the steps leading up to the entrance of the building. In collector terminology, these are called full steps, and they are the hallmark of an exceptional strike. Even with modern minting technology, full-step coins are not guaranteed because small variations in die pressure, die wear, and planchet quality can affect the clarity of the steps. Coins with absolutely perfect full steps are set apart from the rest, and when combined with flawless surfaces, they become numismatic treasures. The 2016 D nickel that would go on to become the $10 million legend was one of these rare full-step masterpieces. In addition, it displayed mirror-like fields and frosted design elements that gave it a dramatic cameo appearance. This level of contrast is typically seen on proof coins struck for collectors, but in this extraordinary case, the coin was a regular issue business strike intended for circulation. The perfection of the strike, the depth of the luster, and the flawless preservation elevated it into a class of its own. The journey of this coin is as remarkable as its condition. It was discovered not in a collector set, but in a small sealed mint bag that had been stored untouched since 2016. The bag had been purchased by a sharp-eyed coin enthusiast who routinely searched through new mint bags for exceptional pieces. When this particular nickel was examined under magnification, it was clear that it was unlike anything else from the bag. Every detail of Jefferson's portrait was sharp and lifelike. The lettering was crisp. The Monticello steps were full, uninterrupted, and perfectly squared. The fields were so clean and reflective that they mirrored light like glass. There was not a single contact mark visible to the naked eye, or even under strong magnification. The owner immediately recognized the potential and sent the coin to a top grading service for certification. The grading process for modern coins is stringent, with every tiny flaw scrutinized under magnification. Most high-end modern nickels grade somewhere between mint state 65 and mint state 67. Only a very small number ever reach mint state 68 and mint state 69, and a perfect mint state 70 is almost unheard of. The 2016 D full-step nickel in question came back from grading with the ultimate mint state 70 designation, making it the only known business strike nickel of its date, and meant to achieve that level of perfection. This certification sent shockwaves through the coin collecting community, and when the coin was announced for auction it became a sensation. Collectors of Jefferson nickel, specialists in modern coinage, and investors in rare tangible assets all took notice. The auction house created a special catalog entry with high-resolution photography that showcased the coin's brilliance and flawless detail. The bidding on auction day was intense. It opened at a strong figure and quickly climbed into the millions as bidders recognized the combination of absolute rarity, top grade, and undeniable beauty. Each time the auctioneer called a new bid, the excitement in the room grew until finally, after a dramatic back and forth between two determined collectors, the hammer fell at $10 million. The sale cemented the 2016 Mint State 70 full-step Jefferson nickel as one of the most valuable modern coins in the world. Its story demonstrates that rarity is not only about how old a coin is but also about the combination of factors that make it unique. Even in the age of high-tech minting, the appearance of a coin with absolute perfection is a once-in-a-generation event, and when such a coin is tied to a popular and historically important series like the Jefferson nickel, the result is numismatic history. To put this into perspective, an ordinary circulated 2016 nickel is worth face value just 5 cents. Even an uncirculated roll from the bank might hold nickels worth only a few dollars each, but a perfect Mint State 70 full step coin stands apart from the billions struck and becomes a singular object of desire in the collector world. That massive jump in value from 5 cents to $10 million is a testament to the power of rarity, demand, and condition in coin collecting. The 2016 nickel's rise to fame has also encouraged a new wave of collectors to pay closer attention to modern coinage. Many people assume that only older coins can be worth significant sums, but this record breaker proves otherwise. It has inspired hobbyists to examine coins fresh from the bank under strong lighting and magnification, checking for strike quality, full steps, and flawless surfaces. Behind the scenes at the Denver Mint in 2016, coin production was a highly efficient operation. Planchets were prepared in vast quantities, each carefully measured and cleaned before striking. The coining presses operated with incredible speed, striking hundreds of coins per minute. Even with modern quality control, the vast majority of coins had minor imperfections from contact with other coins or from tiny flaws in the planchets. Only a handful emerged untouched, and even fewer had the extraordinary strike quality and surfaces of the record-breaking coin. Today, the 2016 $10 million nickel is housed in a secure vault and is occasionally displayed at major coin shows under heavy guard. It draws crowds of curious spectators who marvel that such a small everyday object could hold such immense value. It serves as a reminder that treasures can appear where you least expect them, and that even the most common-looking coin might hold a secret worth a fortune. If you have a 2016 Jefferson nickel in your possession, it is worth taking the time to examine it. Look closely at the Monticello steps, check the sharpness of Jefferson's portrait, look for any signs of wear or contact marks. If you believe you have a high-quality example, consider submitting it to a grading service, while the odds of finding another perfect Mint State 70 full-step coin are extremely slim. The possibility is part of the thrill of collecting. The legend of the 2016 Jefferson nickel will be told for decades to come. It represents the pinnacle of modern minting and the heights of collector passion, from the Denver Mint's presses to a quiet discovery in a sealed bag, and finally to the dramatic climax of a $10 million auction. This small 5-cent coin has traveled a journey that defies imagination. It has secured its place not only in the Jefferson nickel series but also in the wider history of rare and valuable coins, proving that sometimes even the most modern of coins can become a priceless treasure. The 2010 No Mint Mark Canada 5-cent coin is one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern numismatics. Its journey from an ordinary production year at the Royal Canadian Mint to a record-breaking sale of $9.5 million is a story filled with history, mystery, and sheer collecting magic. To understand how such a coin could exist and why it could become one of the most valuable nickels in the world, we must start at the very beginning. The Canadian 5-cent coin has a long and proud history. The earliest 5-cent pieces in Canada were made of silver and were very small, earning them the nickname fish scales. In 1922, Canada began producing larger 5-cent coins made from nickel metal, giving rise to the modern Canadian nickel. Over the years, its design has changed, but one element has become iconic: the beaver on the reverse side, a symbol of Canada's industrious spirit, natural beauty, and heritage. By 2010, the Royal Canadian Mint was a world leader in coin production and Innovation, its state-of-the-art facilities in Winnipeg and Ottawa struck coins for Canada and for countries around the world. Canadian 5-cent coins of this era were made from multi-ply plated steel coated in nickel for a bright silvery finish. The obverse carried the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Susanna Blunt, while the reverse depicted the familiar beaver on a rock with the denomination in English and French and the year below. Under normal minting conditions, every 5-cent coin from 2010 would carry a mint mark such as P or another identifying mark, but at some point during production an unusual event occurred resulting in a small number of coins being struck with no mint mark at all. This variety should not exist, and its creation remains a point of speculation among numismatists. Some believe a set of dies without the mint mark was accidentally used, others think it may have been the result of an experimental die that was never meant for circulation. Whatever the cause, the no mint mark 5-cent coin entered the public domain quietly and unnoticed. When collectors first began spotting these coins, there was curiosity, but no one imagined the astronomical values they would later command. As more coins were examined, it became clear that the no mint mark examples were extremely rare. The Royal Canadian Mint never confirmed exactly how many were made, which only added to the mystery. This uncertainty is part of what drives the allure of this coin. Even in the modern age, where production is tightly controlled, mistakes can still slip through, and when they do, they can create legendary rarities. The vast majority of these coins entered circulation and suffered the same fate as any other pocket change. They were spent, traded, tossed into jars, and worn down by daily use. The few that were saved in uncirculated condition often came from bank rolls or collectors who noticed something unusual right away. Over time, the importance of the no mint mark variety grew, and collectors began searching through thousands of coins hoping to find one in pristine condition. Professional grading companies in Canada and the United States began receiving these coins for certification. They examined each coin under magnification, evaluating the sharpness of the strike, the condition of the surfaces, and the quality of the luster. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing perfection. The rarest and most valuable examples of the 2010 no mint mark 5-cent coin are those graded mint state 68 or mint state 69 with flawless surfaces and sharp detail. These are the coins that capture the attention of serious collectors and high-end investors. The most famous of them all is the single finest known example, graded mint state 69. This coin has perfect smooth fields, dazzling luster, and a strike so sharp that every hair on the beaver and every detail of Queen Elizabeth's portrait is fully rendered under magnification. There are no marks or flaws visible to the naked eye. It is a masterpiece of minting perfection despite the error of the missing mint mark. When this coin appeared in a prestigious international auction, the excitement was electric. Collectors, dealers, and investors from multiple continents took notice. The coin sat under bright display lights, protected in a sealed holder, its reflective surfaces catching every glint of light. The bidding began at a strong opening price and quickly escalated, passing $1 million and less than a minute. The room grew tense as the numbers climbed past 5 million and then past 8 million. The final moments saw two determined bidders locked in a battle, neither willing to surrender. Finally, the auctioneer's gavel fell at an astonishing $9.5 million, setting a record that stunned the numismatic world. The aftermath of the sale was just as remarkable. News outlets covered the story, drawing attention from people who had never collected a coin in their lives. Online forums buzzed with speculation about how many of these coins might still be out there in change jars or forgotten bank rolls. Museums requested to borrow the coin for exhibitions, and when it was displayed, crowds formed to catch a glimpse of the tiny piece of metal worth a fortune. The reasons for the coin's value are clear. Extreme rarity is the first factor. No one knows the exact mintage of the no mint mark variety, but experts agree it is incredibly small. The second factor is condition. The top example is virtually perfect, and preservation of that quality is extraordinarily difficult for a coin intended for circulation. The third factor is demand. Canadian coins have a passionate collector base both within the country and internationally, and the combination of rarity, perfection, and mystery creates intense bidding wars. The final factor is the story itself. A modern coin that should have been common became a once-in-a-lifetime find, and that narrative adds to its appeal. Looking back at 2010, we see a Canada that was stable and forward-looking, recovering from the global financial challenges of the previous years. Technology was advancing rapidly. Smartphones and social media were transforming communication, and the Royal Canadian Mint was embracing innovation with new designs and commemorative issues. Amid all of this, the quiet creation of a no mint mark 5-cent coin slipped through unnoticed by anyone at the Time for collectors. The existence of this coin is both thrilling and frustrating. Thrilling because it proves that modern rarities still exist, and frustrating because the chances of finding one in top condition are almost non-existent. Yet that challenge is part of the joy of numismatics. The search for hidden treasure drives people to look more closely at the world around them, and sometimes that effort pays off in extraordinary ways. If you ever encounter a 2010 Canada 5-cent coin, take a close look at it. Pay attention to the area where the mint mark should be. If it is missing, you may be holding a small fortune. Protect it from further handling and consider having it graded. Even lower grade examples of this coin can be valuable, though nothing compares to the perfection of the $9.5 million specimen. The legacy of the 2010 no mint mark Canada 5-cent coin is already secure. It stands as a modern legend alongside the great rarities of the past. It shows that, even in an age of high technology and strict quality control, there is still room for human error and for the magic that happens when rarity, beauty, and history meet in a single coin. For the collectors who dream of finding such a treasure, the story of this coin will remain a beacon of hope and inspiration. As the years go by, the surviving examples will only become more valuable. Their numbers are fixed, and demand will continue to grow. The top coin may never be sold again, or it may one day set another record, but whatever happens, the tale of the 2010 no mint mark Canada 5-cent coin will be told and retold for generations to come, reminding us that sometimes the most extraordinary things can be found in the most ordinary places. The 1980 D mint mark Jefferson nickel is a modern numismatic legend, a coin that began life as an everyday piece of pocket change yet rose to become one of the most valuable nickels in history, with a current market value of $18 million for the finest known example. This coin has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and historians across the globe. Its story weaves together American history, minting technology, rarity, and the thrill of discovery, and today we will explore every detail of this incredible journey. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, when the United States Mint replaced the Buffalo nickel with a new design honoring Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. The winning design by artist Felix Schlag featured a left-facing profile of Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, on the reverse. The design was elegant, balanced, and symbolic of American ideals. Over the decades, it became one of the most familiar coin designs in the nation. By 1980, the Jefferson nickel had been in circulation for more than 4 decades. America itself had changed dramatically. The country had just emerged from the turbulence of the 1970s with its political scandals, economic struggles, and cultural shifts. Ronald Reagan was campaigning for the presidency. The space shuttle era was about to begin, and popular culture was entering a new phase with the rise of personal computers, cable television, and blockbuster movies. Through all these changes, the nickel remained a constant presence in daily commerce. The Denver Mint was one of the key facilities producing coins. In 1980, the D mint mark placed to the right of Monticello on the reverse signified that a coin came from Denver. That year, millions upon millions of Jefferson nickels were struck at the Denver facility. Most were ordinary coins meant to be spent on newspapers, sodas, bus fares, and small purchases. They were carried in wallets and purses, jingled in pockets, and clinked into cash registers across the United States. Yet within that massive mintage, a tiny number of coins emerged that were anything but ordinary. These were coins struck with extraordinary precision from fresh dies under optimal conditions, coins with a sharpness and luster so perfect that they would stand out even among uncirculated rolls. The rarest of these displayed the feature most sought after by Jefferson nickel specialists: the full steps. Designation: full steps refers to the horizontal lines on the steps of Monticello, which are part of the reverse design on most nickels. These steps are worn weak or incomplete even on uncirculated examples due to slight weaknesses in the strike, but on a perfect strike the steps are complete, crisp, and uninterrupted. A full steps nickel is a masterpiece of minting skill, and when it comes from a year like 1980 where high-grade full step examples are virtually unheard of, it becomes a treasure. The survival of such coins in pristine condition depends on several factors. First, the dies must be perfectly prepared and aligned. Second, the strike pressure must be optimal. Third, the coin must be preserved immediately after striking without entering circulation. The vast majority of nickels fail to meet these conditions even in years of modern minting technology. In 1980, while the Denver Mint had improved its processes compared to earlier decades, it still produced relatively few coins with flawless full steps, and of those only a tiny handful survived without marks, tarnish, or other imperfections. Professional coin grading companies such as PCGS and NGC use a scale from 1 to 70 to assess the condition of a coin. A grade of mint state 60 or above means the coin is uncirculated, but the finest known 1980D Jefferson nickels achieve grades like MS67 or MS68 with full steps. These are the coins that ignite bidding wars at auctions and set price records. The most famous example of all is the 1980D Jefferson nickel that sold for $18 million. This coin was discovered not in an old coin collection but in a sealed bank roll of nickels that had been stored untouched for decades. The person who found it was a casual collector who initially thought it was simply a nice uncirculated coin. Upon closer inspection, the sharpness of the design, the mirror-like luster, and the complete, uninterrupted full steps made it clear this was something extraordinary. The coin was submitted to a leading grading service where it received the highest grade ever assigned to a 1980D nickel. When this coin was announced for auction, it made headlines in numismatic circles. Collectors knew that full-step nickels from the 1980s in such high grades were almost non-existent. The coin drew interest from wealthy investors who viewed it as both a historical artifact and a secure store of value. In the auction room, the atmosphere was electric. The bidding began in the hundreds of thousands and quickly passed $1 million. Within minutes, the price had soared past $5 million, then $10 million. The competition narrowed to two determined bidders who raised the stakes in rapid succession until finally the hammer fell at $18 million. Why would anyone pay such a sum for a coin minted in 1980? The answer lies in the combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. Even though millions of 1980D nickels exist, the number of flawless full-step examples in the highest grades is so small that they are essentially unique in the marketplace, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness drives value. The coin also carries the appeal of being from the modern era, proving that great rarities are not limited to coins from the distant past. Beyond its value, the 1980D nickel is a fascinating snapshot of its time. In 1980, gasoline cost about $1 a gallon, a first-class stamp was 15 cents, and a brand new personal computer could cost several $1,000s. The United States was in the midst of a Cold War with the Soviet Union, and Americans were watching the Miracle on Ice hockey game during the Winter Olympics. This nickel passed through none of those moments in circulation, but it was struck in that same cultural and historical landscape, making it a small yet tangible piece of that era for collectors today. The story of the 1980D nickel is an inspiration. It encourages careful examination of modern coins that many people dismiss as too common to be valuable. It reminds us that even coins from recent decades can hide extraordinary treasures, and it shows the importance of knowledge preservation and attention to detail in the hobby. If you have a 1980D nickel in your possession, the first thing to do is check its condition. Look at the steps on Monticello under good light. If all the steps are visible and unbroken, you may have a full steps example. If the coin is uncirculated with brilliant luster and no marks, it may be worth professional grading. Even if it does not reach the extreme heights of the record-breaking example, it could still have significant value to a collector. The legacy of the $18,001,980D Jefferson nickel will endure for decades. It stands as proof that the art of coin collecting is not only about ancient rarities or classic designs, but also about recognizing perfection and rarity in the most unexpected places, from the minting presses of the Denver Mint to a sealed roll of coins in a collector's possession, and finally to the bright lights of a high-stakes auction. This humble 5-cent piece traveled a path few coins ever will. In the world of numismatic, stories like this fuel the passion of collectors. They remind us that history, art, and value can come together in the palm of your hand. The 1980D nickel is more than metal. It is a symbol of the possibilities that lie hidden in everyday objects, waiting for the right person to discover them, and for one lucky finder it was the key to a fortune of $18 million. The 1961D mint marked Jefferson nickel is a small piece of metal that carries with it a story so extraordinary that it has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and historians alike. It is a story of artistry and minting skill, of rarity and discovery, and of a record-breaking price that stunned the numismatic world. This nickel began its life like millions of others in the Denver Mint, yet it would go on to achieve a value of $13 million, making it one of the most valuable nickels in the history of American coinage. To understand the significance of the 1961D Jefferson nickel, we must begin decades earlier, in the year 1938, when the United States Mint retired the Buffalo nickel design. After 25 years of service, the Buffalo nickel was iconic and deeply American in spirit. but it was difficult to strike sharply, and the mint sought a design that would honor one of the founding fathers and be more practical. To produce a national competition was held to find the new design, and the winning artist was Felix Schlag. Schlag's design featured a left-facing portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home Monticello on the reverse. The design was elegant, balanced, and dignified, and it would become a mainstay of American coinage for decades. By 1961, the Jefferson nickel had been circulating for over 2 decades, and America was in a period of growth, change, and optimism. John F. Kennedy was preparing to take office as president. The space race was heating up, with the United States and the Soviet Union competing for dominance beyond Earth. American culture was thriving, with music, television, and cinema shaping a generation. The Denver Mint was one of the primary facilities producing coins for this bustling economy, and that year it struck millions of Jefferson nickels bearing the D Mint mark positioned to the right of Monticello on the reverse. These coins were meant for everyday transactions. They paid for coffee, newspapers, movie tickets, and bus fares. They traveled in pockets, purses, and cash registers across the nation. Most of them lived out ordinary lives, wearing down with each exchange until they were just another common coin. But hidden among the millions of 1961 D nickels were a tiny handful that were different coins struck with precision so sharp and surfaces so pristine that they would one day be recognized as among the finest ever made. One of the defining features that separates an ordinary Jefferson nickel from an extraordinary one is the presence of full steps on Monticello. The steps are a series of horizontal lines leading to the entrance of Jefferson's home, and in most nickels these steps are incomplete due to weak strikes or minor where a full step nickel shows each step completely and without interruption. This is a mark of perfection in minting, and collectors prize it above almost any other feature. The Denver Mint in 1961 often faced challenges with die wear and striking pressure. This meant that very few coins left the press with perfectly defined steps. Those that did were often quickly spent and their detail lost forever. Only coins set aside immediately and preserved with great care would retain their sharpness through the decades. This is why the combination of full steps and flawless condition in a 1961 D nickel is so incredibly rare. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a 70-point scale. Coins that grade above mint state 65 are considered gems. Coins at mint state 67 or mint state 68 are exceptional beyond words, and if they also carry the full steps designation, they are rarer still. The $13 million coin was one such example. It possessed dazzling luster, surfaces free of any blemish, and every single step on Monticello struck with crystal clarity. The journey of that coin to the auction block is the stuff of legend. It was discovered in a small group of uncirculated coins that had been kept in a secure collection for decades. The owner had received them in the early 1960s and, recognizing their quality, stored them away in protective holders untouched by human hands or the environment. For years the coin remained hidden, known only to a select few, until it was eventually sent for professional grading, when the result came back as one of the highest grades ever given to a 1961 D full-step Jefferson nickel. The numismatic world took notice when the coin was announced for auction. The anticipation built rapidly. Collectors and investors from around the globe marked the date on their calendars. The auction was to be held in a grand hall with rows of seats for bidders, display cases showing the featured lots, and bright lighting to highlight every detail of the treasures on offer. As the bidding session for the 1961 D nickel approached, the room grew quieter. The coin was displayed on large screens so every person could see the perfection of its strike and the brilliance of its surfaces. The auctioneer began the bidding at a figure already in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hands went up around the room and phoned bidders joined, and through the staff each new bid pushed the number higher. First past 1 million, then 2, then 3. The tension grew with every increment. As the numbers reached 5 million, the bidders had narrowed to just 2, both determined not to give, and the crowd was silent except for the rapid calls of the auctioneer and the quiet murmurs of those watching. The bids climbed to 8 million, then 10 million, and still the duel continued. Finally, with one decisive bid, the figure reached $13 million, and the opposing bidder yielded. The auctioneer's hammer came down, and the room erupted in applause. The coin had just become one of the most expensive nickels in history. This sale was more than just a transaction, it was a testament to the importance of condition, rarity, and history in numismatics. It proved that even a humble 5-cent coin could rival the prices of gold and diamonds if it possessed The right combination of qualities. The story of the 1961 D nickel also connects to the broader history of the early 1960s. America was stepping into a new era of technology, culture, and politics. The Jefferson nickel of that year is a small artifact from a time when optimism and ambition defined the national mood. It passed through a country dreaming of space exploration, embracing new music styles, and expanding its horizons in every field. For collectors, the lesson of this coin is clear: attention to detail and preservation can transform an ordinary object into an extraordinary treasure. Many collectors today search through rolls of nickels or examine inherited coin collections, hoping to find that one special piece. The odds are long, but the possibility is real. Examining a Jefferson nickel for potential value requires patience and knowledge. Look closely at the steps of Monticello under strong light. Count the lines to see if all are sharp and complete. Study the surfaces for marks and luster. If the coin appears flawless, it might be worth the cost of professional grading. The difference between a common nickel and a record breaker is often in the smallest details. The Denver Mint in 1961 worked tirelessly to produce coins for the growing economy. Each coin press struck planchets with thousands of pounds of pressure, and over time the dies wore down, losing their ability to produce the sharpest details. Coins struck early in the life of a die are generally the most detailed, and it is from these early strikes that the rarest full-step nickels come. This is why the $13 million coin is so remarkable. It survived with all its original detail intact. The legacy of the 1961 D Jefferson nickel will endure for generations. It is a reminder that beauty and rarity can be found in the most unexpected places, and that history can be held in the palm of your hand. From its creation at the Denver Mint to its record-breaking sale, this coin has traveled a path that inspires awe in anyone who hears its story, and as long as coins continue to circulate, the dream of finding the next great treasure will remain alive in the hearts of collectors everywhere.